Channel. I am doing the mid-year book freakout tag. This is a very popular tag that has been on YouTube for a very long time. So I will tag the original creator in the description box below. I have a list in my reading journal. You guys have seen my reading journal before. So I have a list in my reading journal of all the books that I've read this year, and then I'm gonna pass this on to my reading journal too. But then I also have a list of the questions and some of the answers that I've already started. So if I'm looking over here, it's because I'm looking at my lists. So this year so far I have read 23 books. Right now, in 6 months of the year, I have read more books than what I read total in 2025. So I'm really happy about what I've read. Most of all what I've read, but I'm really happy with the number as well. I'm just happy overall. If I were to stop completely, which that is not the plan, but if I were to stop completely reading right now, for whatever reason, I would have read more than last year. That's good. Last year was rough. So I'm going to show you the books that I read first. I will just tell you what I read, and then we'll go over the question. All right, in January, we started slow. I only read one book in January. I read The Bewitching by Silvia Moreno Garcia. Then in February, I read 2 books. So the first one I read is Lore of the Wilds. That was an audiobook that I borrowed from the library, and I used Hoopla to listen to that one. The next one is The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas. That's all I read in February. Then we go to March. Now March, I read a little bit more, but I do have a break in the month of March from work, so that is why I was able to read a little bit more. The first book that I read, or that I finished, was The Will to Change by Bell Hooks. Then I got abducted by aliens, and now I'm trapped in a rom-com by Kimberly Lemming. She is known for the long titles. Among other things, she's also a great writer. Then Glitterland by Alexis Hall. This one was an audiobook that I borrowed from Libby using the library. The next one is, where'd it go? The next one I read is, or finished, was Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White. Then I finished, actually that's all I finished in March. April, I finished Tell the Wolves I'm Home by Carol Rivka Brunt. This was also a gift. Then I listened to The Proposal by Sonora Reyes. This was also an audiobook that I borrowed from the library, and I used Libby. The next one was Nimona by N.D. Stevenson. That's all I read in April. In May, I finished El viento conoce mi nombre by Isabel Allende. The title, it is translated in English. The title in English is The Wind Knows My Name. Then I read Court of the Vampire Queen by Katie Robert. And lastly, this is the last one that I read in May, Immortal by Su Ling Tan. The first book that I finished in June was The Spirit Bears Its Teeth. Then I finished right here, The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. Next, I finished Witchlings 4, Scepter of Memories by Claribel A. Ortega. The Daughter of Dan Ray. This is by Natalia Hernandez. I read Untamed and I listened to the entire book on audio. I also listened from Libby to the audiobook Finding Latinx by Paola Ramos. I read Bitter and Pet by Ikweke Messi. I finished Lore Olympus Volume 1. And then the last one that I finished as of right now when I'm making this video is Mirrored Heavens by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is the conclusion to the trilogy between Earth and Sky. Now let's start answering the questions of the tag. So the first question is best book of 2026 so far. And I'm gonna have to say this one. Mirrored Heavens is, like I said, the conclusion of the trilogy. I read Black Sun and Fever Starred last year, and I kind of had to pause it for a little bit, and I'm so glad I did, and I took the time to read this one. Now that I have time, I had time to go back and annotate it. I have a whole different system for annotating. I was trying to make sure that I was following along with the timelines and following kind of like all of the different cultures that are involved in this story. There's a lot into this trilogy, but here we are just concluding, the lives of these four people that we started with in book 1, and then there was some more characters that were introduced in the second book, and then now in the third book there was characters that we were already introduced in book 1, but now they have their own POV, and that was very interesting. I really liked that. This was a bittersweet ending, but I don't mind that. I think I really like those endings a little bit more. Than I don't want everything wrapped up like in a nice little bow. I want to ask myself questions like, where could this go? What if? I was not too happy with how things turned out, but it was a satisfying ending. Like, okay. But I'm also going to go into more detail. Like, if you have read this one and you are not, and you don't care about being spoiled, having spoilers, I'm going to go into very, very, very deep detail on that. All right. Then we have the best sequel, even though I could also say Mirrored Heavens. I'm gonna say Witchlings. This is the Scepter of Memories. This is the 4th book in the series. There's the 5th one coming out in October. It's the conclusion to the series, and I'm gonna have all of them, and I'm gonna read all of them, and it's just a great series. This one is middle grade, so it's from ages like 8 and up, but I think everybody it's for everybody. This story warmed my heart so much. This is like the kind of story that you need at that age, kind of like at 8, whatever, 12, especially like 11, 12, when you know, so many things are happening. This is the kind of book that you need, and I think it has done so much healing within me. But I can't wait for the next one. This is definitely the best sequel. Everything is beautiful about this book. We're following 7, Thorn and Valley, and of course I can't go into too much detail because I don't want to spoil anything if you have not started. But in the beginning of this series, we are following 7. She's about to enter a coven, and it turns out that she was not going into a coven. She was going to be a witchling. In this place, witchlings are not really looked at with very good eyes. They are looked at as outsiders, and it's not a good thing. It's really bad. We see 7 struggling with the idea of, you know, owning the fact that she's gonna have to be a witchling, and she's gonna have to do all of these things, and she's not really looking at how important, you know, family and friendship is, because she's so focused on the fact that she wasn't selected for a coven. So now that, you know, towards the story, she's starting to understand how important all of these things are. You know, she still has all of the support of her family, but also another topic about this is friendship. The friendship that they start to develop between them, and when they realize that that's what is important. I just love it. I just love that overall, over the next, you know, few books, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like now that I'm in the 4th one, friendship is still the center of everything that is happening in this story. So question number 3, or prompt number 3, is, what is a new release you haven't read? And I'm trying to think of one. Is it supposed to be from 2026? I don't know. This year I've been trying to focus on the books that I already have, so I'm trying not to buy anything, even though I have bought some. I can tell you a book that I bought this year that I have not gotten to it. This one I bought this month. This is the second book of Lore of the Tides, Lore of the Wilds. So I recently got this one, and I have the audiobook. I borrowed it from the library as well, but now that I have the physical copy, I really want to get to it. My biggest disappointment would probably be Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Most anticipated, and again, I'm trying not to focus on the books that are coming out, because my goal is to get those 85 books that I had at the beginning of the year down to at least 40, even though that's a lot. But if I get it down to less than 40, I'm gonna be the happiest person this summer. Okay, so that is the goal. With that being said, there's a couple of authors that I will most definitely, if I have the opportunity and the means, I will get my hands on. For example, Isabel Cañas has another book coming out. I need to get my hands on that one, because I will buy anything that this author comes out with. Great writer. Other than that, most anticipated, and I know it's coming in October, I pre-ordered it. It's The Conclusion of Witchlings by Claribel A. Ortega. The 5th biggest surprise will probably Tell the Wolves I'm Home. This was a gift. This book was given to me by a co-worker. She was a co-worker a few years ago. So I finally got to reading this book, and it you know, like, I appreciate when people give me books, but then I'm scared because I'm like, I don't want to not like a book that you give me. And she told me right away, if you don't like it, don't tell me, because this is one of my favorite books, and I gave her my favorite book. So but I really liked it. I really enjoy reading the story. It was something that I would have never bought on my own or decided to read on my own. And that was, maybe that was the biggest surprise, that it's something that came out of so far off my comfort zone. Okay, I had to cut the audio because I am just rambling in this part. But this book is about June. We're following June and her family. This is in the 80s, and we are coming in with the information that her uncle is dying from AIDS. So again, this is in the 80s. There is so much misinformation about where AIDS is coming from, and the way that is so focused only, or kind of like blamed on, the LGBTQ community. And what's really frustrating is because of all this misinformation, June's family keeps feeding her. She's only 14 years old, but she loves her uncle more than anything. She feels like her uncle was the only person in her family that she actually had a connection with, and now that person is dying. So she's struggling. There's just a lot going on with her, and again, everybody is just feeding into that misinformation, and it's just making it all worse. Number 7 is favorite new author. It could be a debut or new to me, and this one will most definitely go to Andrew Joseph White. So Andrew Joseph White has written a few more books, but so far this year I have read Hell Followed With Us, and I read The Spirit Bears His Teeth. I'm really glad that I read these 2 books. So in Hell Followed With Us, we are following a 16-year-old trans boy, Benji, and he is basically running away from this cult. I don't even know how much I can say without spoiling it. Benji is kind of going through this transformation. There are so many moments where the author is very descriptive with the transformations that he's going through. And for the most part, I really am not the one to enjoy this kind of reading, but I think Andrew Joseph White did such an amazing job with this book. Like mixing all of the religious part of the story, mixing it with the body horror, and then on top of that, Benji's own transformation, both emotionally, physically. It was a lot, but it was so good. It's such in a good way. So if you are ready to read a book about, a cult, body horror. The other one is this one, the Spirit Bears His Teeth. There's everything from the other one, well, except for the cult part. But there's body horror. There's a little bit of paranormal. We have, spirits coming in and out of the story. Another thing that I would like to add. Let me go back to it. There's a letter from the author in the beginning. So it's just a message, and letting you know of the content warnings, letting you know of things that are going to be coming up in the book. In case you are not ready for them, then you can skip it. Check out, before you go into it, read the author's notes, the author's letter in the beginning. I'm really glad he includes this one. My reading companion, my reading buddy is here. So, it's newest fictional crush. I have a lot of characters that I love, but I'm not like, oh my god, I'm in love with them. No. But there's a lot of characters in here that I absolutely adore. In the daughter of the Don Rey, is it Tamika? Tamika, right? Yes, Tamika on this one. I love that character. I think Namika is the main character in here. Nova. Yes. Number 9. Newest favorite character. Figs from here is Achilles. You're moving the tripod, my friend. Why are you laying there? Move. Come here. Lay over here instead. Aquí quédate, ¿ok? Porque si no me vas a mover todo el video. Okay. Fix is a character in this story. I mean, I love all 3 girls, Seven, Thorn, and Valley. I love them. But I think Figs has stolen my heart. A book that made me cry. Now, if you know me, you would probably already know that it would probably be easier for me to find a book that has not made me cry. Alright? I'm a crier. I tend to feed of other people's feelings for the most part. But then on books, I'm a crybaby. But one book that absolutely destroyed me, and it was one chapter. It was one chapter that destroyed me, and I went back and I read it again. We're going back to this one. This is a chapter between Okwa and Serapio, and it absolutely destroyed me. Just this entire interaction between these 2 characters was... Achilles! You're moving the camera again. Can you move? Oh my gosh. Okay. Here. Now get out of here. Vete para allá. No, allí no. Allí no. Allí no. Vete para allá. Are we crooked now? Oh well. Okay. That whole interaction between them 2, I think so many of the words, and I know now that I finished it, I know Serapio was just telling him what he wanted to hear, and that's what pains me the most, because now I know the ending. I know Serapio is just saying what he knew Okwa needed to hear. Another book that really made me cry a lot, and that is because of the topics that were mentioned, and was this one. I think again, all of the weight that was placed on Betsy. Books that made me happy. Okay, I had a really hard time looking for a book that made me happy during the filming of this video, but now that I'm editing, I know which one, and it was Immortal by Sulin Tan. It was a really cute book. It was a really cute romance, on top of all the other things that were going on. But I think that over all of the things that I've read, I think that's the one that made me happy. Most beautiful book I bought this year, definitely. This is Lore of the Tides by Annalie. Is it Sabrina? I'm sorry, I think I'm saying her last name wrong. This is the second book in the... Is it a trilogy? I don't think we know yet. I read Lore of the Wilds back in February, and this is the second book, and it's just so beautiful. I mean, I think it's just the colors and the fact that we're underwater and everything. So this is think this is a romantasy. There's a big twist at the end, then that's why I wanted to read this one. Okay, here I go, just rambling again. But what I really wanted to say is that there's a big twist at the end. There's a love triangle, and this kind of reminded me of The Kiss of Deception, because it kind of follows the same format. Like this, it's very, very similar. And I really like the Kiss of Deception trilogy, and this is giving me the same vibes. So I want to continue with the series. All right. Let's see. What books do you, this is number 13. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? As of right now, I have, and I will move this so that I can go to my reading journal. This is my reading journal. I think I'm gonna do something's falling. I started with 85 books that I needed to read. I am happy to announce that I have read 8 of those. I added one to the collection, this one, because again, the cover. So right now I have 78. The goal is to get that down to 45 or less. I think before I said 40, but in my notes I have 45. Ones that are more of a priority than not is La Hija Única by Guadalupe Nettel. Another book that I really want to get to because I have seen it being like recommended a lot is The Reformatory by Tinano Reeve Dew. I hope I'm saying the name right. The other one that I have is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. With the original creator, that is a question about a favorite book community member. I'll be including some videos of people that I have seen done the tag that I really enjoyed, people that I have watched for quite a few years already. So I'm going to leave them in the description box if you want to check them out. That would be great because they have really great videos. Let me know in the comments if you want to answer any of the questions. Best book, most disappointing, worst book, whatever. Put it in the comments. Or if you have done this tag, please let me know so I can go check it out in your channel. All right, thanks.